The night was colder than usual in the small town of Ridgefield. The streets were half lit, the shops were closing, and people hurried home with warm food and tired smiles. But in the corner of an old park, under a flickering streetlight, sat a young woman with two small children. Her name was Clara Evans, a single mother who had lost her husband 2 years ago in a car accident. Since then, she had worked 2 jobs, cleaning offices by day and waiting tables by night, barely making enough to pay rent and feed her kids. That evening, Clara held a single paper bag. Inside it was 1 burger and a small box of fries, all she could afford after a 10-hour shift. Her children, Mia and Ethan, looked at her with hungry eyes, but not once did they complain. She tore the burger in half, giving the bigger piece to them, and pretended to be full after just 1 bite. What she didn't know was that someone had been watching. In a black Mercedes parked nearby sat Jonathan Hale, one of the richest men in the state and the CEO of a multinational company, the kind of man whose signature could change the fate of thousands. But that night, something else changed his heart. Jonathan had been driving home from a business dinner when he saw the small family sitting under the streetlight. At first, he thought it was just another group of homeless people, but when he saw Clara's gentle smile and the way she looked at her kids, something inside him froze. He rolled down his window and listened. "Mia, eat slowly, sweetheart," Clara whispered, brushing her daughter's hair back. "Mommy's not hungry tonight. I had something earlier at work." But she hadn't. Her stomach growled softly, and Jonathan could hear it from the car. He looked down at his expensive suit, his wristwatch worth more than the woman probably earned in a year, and suddenly felt a broken bar, ashamed. For the first time in years, he realized how empty his life had become. The next morning, Jonathan couldn't shake the image from his mind. He skipped meetings, ignored calls, and drove back to the same parquet hoping to see them again. But they were gone. He asked around at nearby diners and shelters until one waitress recognized the description. "She comes here sometimes," the woman said. "Sweet lady, always polite. Usually buys 1 meal for her kids, never for herself." Jonathan felt a lump form in his throat. He left a generous tip and asked for her address. That evening, he arrived at a small, worn-down apartment building. The lights flickered in the hallway, the stairs creaked with every step. He hesitated at the door marked 2B and knocked softly. Clara opened the door, startled to see a stranger in a tailored suit. "Can I help you?" she asked, holding Ethan close. "Yeah, broken bar. I saw you last night," Jonathan said awkwardly. "At the park. You were sharing food with your children." Clara's face turned red with embarrassment. "I'm sorry if we bothered anyone. It was just a—" "No, you didn't bother me," he interrupted gently. "You inspired me." She blinked, unsure what he meant. Jonathan continued, "I realized I've been living in a world where money means everything, but seeing you a broken bar sharing what little you had with such love, yeah, it made me remember what humanity really is." Clara didn't know how to respond. She had been judged, pitied, and ignored before, but never spoken to like this. Jonathan smiled softly and handed her a card. "I run the Hale Foundation. We help families like yours. I'd like to offer you a job, something that fits your skills, with proper pay and benefits, and I want to help your kids go to school." Tears filled Clara's eyes. "Why a broken bar? Why would you do this for us? You don't even know me." "Because once, someone helped me when I had nothing," Jonathan said quietly, "and I promised myself, if I ever had the power, I'd do the same." Clara looked down, overwhelmed. "Sir, I don't know what to say. A broken bar." "Say yes," he said with a gentle smile, "and let's make sure your children never go hungry again." A few weeks passed. Clara started working as a personal assistant in one of Jonathan's companies. She was hardworking, kind, and humble, and soon, everyone loved her. Her kids, Mia and Ethan, joined a good school, and for the first time in years, they laughed freely. But the real miracle wasn't in the money, it was in the bond they formed. Jonathan began visiting their small apartment often, bringing groceries, toys, and warmth. He found in their laughter a family he never had, and in Clara's strength, a reminder of his mother Ray, who had once raised him alone after his father abandoned them. One evening, after dinner, Clara found Jonathan sitting silently by the window. "You look deep in thought," she said, placing a cup of tea beside him. "I was just thinking," he said, his voice soft. "All these years I thought I was rich because of what I owned, but the truth is, I was poor, a broken bar until I met you." Clara smiled, tears in her eyes. "Sometimes it takes losing everything to realize what really matters." Jonathan nodded, looking at the children sleeping on the couch. "And sometimes it takes seeing a mother share one meal with her kids to remember what love looks like." Years later, Clara became the director of the Hale Foundation, helping thousands of single parents across the country. Jonathan and she worked side by side, partners not just in work, but in life.